continuing, starting with number 9 here. Number 9, takeaway, we're going to look for now. So we have our revised topic sentence in this essay. Some examples are, how come my knees are ashy? What's missing here is context. And context really ought to come after a topic sentence. So where's that context? What is context? Where's that background? Now the background here could be about the author. There's a little bio on her in the book. It could be about the poem itself. And it could be about the genre, right? Something along the lines of Audre Lorde wanted to write about struggling adolescence and reflected some of her own life possibly. Or the poem could be, in the poem, the speaker is talking directly to the reader, right? Why do I always have to do this? It's almost like an interrogation of the reader, or why her life is so bad. Or the genre could be, lyric poems often don't focus on one particular conflict like a narrative might. So, number 9, context, background. Pretend as if the audience for your essay had not read the texts you have. Oh. Let me go let the dog in. Prankster alert. Okay. So they provide examples. Some examples is kind of like a 2-word piece of context. I would like us not to use that phrase anymore. So no more some examples, no more other examples, and no more third examples. All right? That's a list, not really an analysis, okay? So, number 10, one example, another example, my third example, are heretofore considered bad cricket in TDA writing. These phrases should be replaced with context. All right, number 11. Let's check out the next side. In the story Translating Grandfather's House, the author E.J. Vega had one main conflict in his poem. This is an absolutely strong topic sentence. Dead on. Absolutely what we're looking for. The author, E.J. Vega, main conflict in his poem was that his teacher didn't believe that the drawing he did was his grandfather's house. I believe in our notes we discussed that it was assumptions versus memory. When you want to talk about the main conflict, especially if it's going to lead to theme, as is discussed in the notes, can you turn that off for me, please? Sorry. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Oh, it's back. So in the notes in the book, it talks about how plot can lead to theme or discovering what the theme is. So this is absolutely a serviceable summary of it. But I think what we need to bear in mind is, okay, what about the larger issues, especially if we're going to dive into connotation and denotation and really break down the details and word choice of the poem. So keep an eye on theme or the message when discussing the central conflict or main conflict. All right. Number 12. He didn't believe that the drawing did was his grandfather's house. I can support this by, the teacher says the house is from some bizarre movie I've seen. The author, E.G. Vega, gave background details from his grandfather's house so the teacher will believe him. Okay, so this is a quote, but since it's not followed by an explanation, but instead just a summary of the poem, that means we don't have an explanation. So, takeaways for number 12. Do not just summarize or retell. The author, E.J. Vega, gave background details on his grandfather's house so the teacher will believe him. For example, we're not doing that no more, right? Ask my mom, I protest. She was born there, right there. Another example. So we have the 3 examples, and then we have a connotation sentence down here. One connotation word that the author uses was memories, are certain as rivets became confused. So when it comes to a connotation, you really want to focus on particular word choices, not just a whole phrase, right? So I like this word confused, right? It could be forgotten. It could be made silly. Confused could be like addled. Confused here. His memory has become confused. So this is almost like a disinformation campaign, you know, that like a foreign adversary might try to leverage against you, right? So this disinformation is being forced upon the speaker in the poem. Oh, there's Miles crawling around. And then we're looking for a conclusion. So, connotation. Focus, this is number 13. Focus on one word or short phrase. Let's try another essay. Memory versus assumption. This means that they were working with identifying the central conflict. Memory versus assumption was absolutely what we discussed as the main conflict in class. So let's go ahead for number 14. Say reference class notes. You should always go back for notes. So number 15, always return to notes. Okay, so they're doing this prompt here. Identifying the central conflict can be a challenge when there are many sub-conflicts in a text. Analyze the central conflict and 2 sub-conflicts in translating my grandfather's house. Use evidence from the text to support your answer. Well. We have a sentence that is a command. It is telling us to do something. It's an imperative mood. So identifying, that is a gerund here, right? But analyze the central conflict and 2 sub-conflicts. Well, what happens when we take away this first verb? Boop. The central conflict and 2 sub-conflicts in translating my grandfather's house are, and then you can do the analyzing in the body paragraph. So, for commands in a prompt, remove the opening verb. In this case, the opening verb was analyze. So, let's see what they do. The central conflict is that the teacher is assuming that the kid's grandfather is broke like everybody else. Excellent. I think they intend to say everybody has a broke house like everybody else's house or something like that. I love the pictures in this, by the way, and I love that they include dialogue. So takeaway number 17, adding word bubbles, for lack of a better phrase, to pictures is quite clever and inventive. Well done, Miss Writer. I like that little detail. Oh, and why are you assuming? Oh, I love it. Love it. Love it. I'm going to put a little heart there. The kid remembered that his grandfather's house was nice when the teacher begins to challenge his memory. Oh, I love this phrasing too. By saying it's from a Zara movie I've seen. Oh, there's a quote. To challenge the teacher, the student said, ask mom. So here we fall into that trap of sort of just retelling. Retelling with quotes is more sophisticated, I suppose, than summarizing, but it's still, we need more. So retelling. Don't do that. All right, number 19. Let's take a look at the rest of the essay here. The teacher doesn't believe him and crosses her arms and moves on with the class. Because the awakenings you, while growing up, you're old, become more blurry and confused, the teacher said. All right, so I think what they're trying to say is because of what the teacher said, his memory becomes confused. What would be good here would be to use some of the words from the prompt, words like main, conflict, would be good. And I see what I think they're trying to support, why this is the main conflict. So I might see words like important. I might see words like most, words like especially, like as in this is an especially hurtful accusation coming from the teacher. So for 19, use notes to unpack quotes. Ooh, that rhymes. All right, let's take a look at one other one. I like this. Okay. Comparing conflict. This is the story translating, so it looks like this is based on the same one. Let's look at how they use the word connotation. Some connotation to. There's some connotation to. Well, see how there's a question mark right there already? This means don't use words without some knowledge as to what they mean. That's another way of saying check your notes. All right, and that makes 20. Thanks for tuning in this week.